Ladies and gentlemen, the Uttarakhand Vidhan Sabha has passed perhaps what is a monumental bill. The Uniform Civil Code has been implemented in Uttarakhand. So UCC has been implemented in Uttarakhand, which now has its own UCC. It's become the first state since independence to pass the UCC, setting the template for the rest of Bharat.
उत्तराखंड विधेयक 2024 को पुनर्स्थापित करने हेतु सदन की अनुज्ञा चाहता हूँ।
ये कानून किसी के विरुद्ध नहीं है, बल्कि ये उन माताओं, बहनों, बेटियों के लिए जिनके जीवन में उनको अनेक कष्टों का सामना करना पड़ता था, उनकी सर्वांगीण उन्नति के लिए ये कानून हमने बनाया है।
Scenes outside the Uttarakhand Vidhan Sabha, whole Nagara warm hugs a sense of jubilation as Uttarakhand becomes the first state in independent India to have its own uniform civil code.
The Uttarakhand Assembly passing the Uniform Civil Code Bill, becoming the first state in the country to give nod to the landmark legislation post-independence. Goa has UCC, but it's a succession, ladies and gentlemen. It's a continuation of what Goa had during the British Raj and post its liberation once it became a formal part of Bharat. That legislation has continued. The bill, which will now become a law once it's cleared by the governor and also has the president's accent, was a key poll promise of the BJP during the 2022 Assembly elections, and the government now claims under Pushkar Singh Dhami, the Chief Minister, that they have delivered on a promise that was made to the people of Uttarakhand. He's also hailed the bill as a historic landmark and said that it aims to promote gender parity and doesn't target any particular religion. Polygamy is prohibited, thus preventing second marriages while the first spouse is alive. Equal inheritance rights for both genders, paving the way for gender parity. A formal declaration of live-in relationships, making it mandatory for that to happen so that there is protection under a legal recourse. Also, that a child, if it is born in a live-in relationship, also giving that child legitimate rights. Prohibition of child marriage and making it a criminal act are some of the key takeaways of this bill. Will Uttarakhand set the template for the rest of Bharat? That's the big question. Let's quickly understand some of the salient features and some of the aspects of this bill. When it comes to polygamy and halala, both stand banned. There is actually a 1 lakh rupee fine or up to a maximum of 3-year imprisonment if halala is committed, or both can happen, and this is under section 4(1). Polygamy, polyandry also have been disallowed. Section 30 of the Uniform Civil Code in Uttarakhand bans the practice of halala. Neither party can have more than one spouse. The age of marriage has been fixed at 18 for girls and 21 for boys. So if either of them is underage and the marriage happens, then the marriage is considered illegal. But if a child has been born, then that child will be deemed legitimate. That's what the bill says. A wife can seek divorce on grounds of polygamy. That's been allowed. As far as live-ins is concerned, the recognized partners must submit a statement to the registrar. If the partner is a minor, then parents will have to be informed. Registrar will conduct an inquiry into the entire relationship. The registrar can summon the partners and seek more information before giving it assent or cognizance and noting it. Registrar and of course sub-registrars and across Uttarakhand will have to maintain a proper record and diary about this. Based on inquiry, registrar may approve or deny. If the woman gets deserted, then she can claim maintenance. If a child is born out of a live-in relationship, will be deemed a legitimate child. A 10,000 rupee fine or 3 months jail or both for not registering. There is a fine if partners provide false information to the registrar too. And there are similar conditions that have been imposed even in the case of regular marriage. But the bigger aspect is that scheduled tribes and tribes have been, under Article 342 of the Constitution, they have been given exemption. But is there a fine print that needs to be read there? And are there some questions around that? Let's try and go across to our guests and ask them to deliberate upon it. Syed Zafar Islam, national spokesperson of the BJP, with us. Syam Prasad Meka, Congress leader, is also with us. Aap dono ko namaste, Jai Hind and Jai Bharat. Thank you very, very much. Syam Prasad Meka ji, do you believe this is a landmark moment for Bharat? Because it is part of the directive principles in our constitution. Our founding fathers wanted the states to work towards a uniform civil code. How would you see this development in Uttarakhand?
See, ultimately we need to go there. Okay, there is no question about it. Nobody is objecting to uniform civil code. The only thing is how you go about it, when you go about it, and the method you choose. That's the only question. Okay, fine. See, this is a thing that not each state can do. It should be done at the national level. Okay, yeah, we are building a nation. We are building a nation. Let's be very honest about it. We are with a lot of diversity and we need to build the nation. And that's about it. So, there is no point in forcing it on anybody and making it as if some sort of a victory over somebody. No.
Ji.
See, if you go a kilometer across, the culture is different in this country. That's the greatness of this country, right?
So,
in every kilometer, the culture is different.
correct.
So let us work on it and let us try to first inculcate and practice constitutional values and then make a uniform civil code. That's how I would look at it.
So you
But
believe
if you
that
want
the
to-
way they've gone ahead, gone about is wrong? Why do you believe that? Please complete, Ji.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, see, why Uttarakhand need to do it? Do the Uttarakhand government think all the Uttarakhand is similar? Okay, go ahead and do it. Do it for the entire India. No issues. But are we ready for it? Are we ready for it? The way the marriage, adoption, and all these things happen in my village are different from the way it happens in the next village. So let's not get too overconfident and claim, make long claims that as if we are achieving something. No. Allow people, trust the judgment of the people, allow people time to go through and adopt to the constitutional values.
Right. So
That's all
So you're saying till people automatically adhere to constitutional values, the nation is not ready for a uniform civil code. This method of going through it is wrong. States should not do it. It should be from the center is what you're saying, Syam Prasad Meka ji. And because
Yeah,
you're saying
correct.
in our country there is a kahavat also, no, kos par badle pani, char kos par bani. That itself means that when language changes, so do culture, customs, etc. So that's the indication there. We'll come back to that in just a bit. Let's listen into what Zafar Islam ji has to say. It's just the two of you gentlemen, so we'll have a sane debate here. Yes, Syed Zafar Islam.
Anand, I think it's a historic moment and it is part of our manifesto and we have delivered it to people's expectation. I think every state should follow this because like there is a criminal law which is mandatory for everyone, which is uniform for everyone. Similarly, there should be a civil code as well, which should apply for every citizen of this country. Having said that, there are some constraints which has been addressed in this legislation which has been passed in the by the Uttarakhand Assembly, and it needs to be celebrated. This is a template for every other states to follow, and I'm sure that every state will follow this template, and they will put together a mechanism that Uniform Civil Code UCC becomes a reality. You will always find criticism coming from the opposition, no matter what you do. Here also you will find criticism, but they should also understand that citizen needs this kind of protection because unless there is a law like you have say uniform law in United States, uniform law in UK, uniform law in many other countries, uniform civil code in every many countries in the world. and we all go there, live happily without cribbing about it. But when it comes to implementing the same in our own country, the political parties have problem, and I'm sure that they must overcome with this kind of thought process and allow it to happen peacefully. It is for the benefit of the citizen. It will strengthen the relationship between two individuals and in the society, and it is good for the country and good for the state, good for the people. And I'm sure that everybody is welcoming it, barring opposition parties because they have their own constraint. It's more of a political reason rather than the genuine constraint which is being faced by the citizen in every other situation. And I'm sure the women will definitely welcome it. Particularly I'm talking about the Muslim women, they will welcome it, and they will all be very happy that their demand, their demand has also been met.
Zafar Islam ji, if this is supposed to be rights of all citizens, why are scheduled tribes excluded?
See, why there is a reservation for scheduled caste?
Scheduled tribes. Scheduled
There is a
tribes.
reservation because
Only tribes, not castes.
I'm saying that is what I'm saying. I know, but I'm
Ji,
saying
ji.
that why there is a reservation for the SC and ST, because they are still not there where the other part of the community is there. So they need some hand holding. There's still time for them to really
I take a serious
accept.
objection.
Okay, one minute,
Sir,
Meka ji,
sir.
1 minute. Let him say and then you please come.
Likewise, the ST community needs to be exempted because they're still not there to really appreciate the advantages of this beautiful UCC which has been put in place as a legislation in the Uttarakhand Assembly. So there'll be time, not now, but there'll be time, like we had several years, and now we are implementing after the independence, 75 years after independence. There'll be time that they will also come up with the ladder, and this will get introduced for them as well. But right now, the exception has been made purely because the situation demands that they need to be exempted from this.
Okay, Meka ji, you had a counter, please.
See, one thing is, I take a serious objection. When Zafar Islam is saying that these communities need hand-holding, really? My friend, do you think so? Honestly, no, these communities doesn't need hand-holding. The hand-holding is needed for the oppressor communities of this country. They need to come out of their mindset that they are some sort of a Brahma written, God sent great guys. Shut up. No, everybody is equal. That's what is the Republic of India is. Now, this patronizing attitude that everybody comes and says, Arey, OBCs, Dalits, Adivasis, you need to come up, we will handhold you. Hey, stop this nonsense. You don't need to. Please. This is an insult that you are throwing at us for centuries. Why Adivasis and the Dalits need hand-holding? Why Zafar Islam thinks so? We don't need that. We need your sick minds to be free of your sickness. That's the point. Instead of that, you try to be patronizing to us.
Right.
No, come on, those days are gone.
Okay.
Those days are gone.
Okay. You've made a very strong point there, and we
Can I
will
just respond?
it's not a personal remark at any particular person. It's just an expression of an emotion there when he's used terminologies like sick mind, oppressor, etc. Zafar Islam ji. So please respond objectively to that point that you do not need to handhold certain people and be patronizing when you exclude them, saying "Abhi aapko bahar rakhte hain." Yes, please. Especially with matters like UCC. Please respond.
See,
Ji.
no, I won't comment on this sick mind and all, because I think people who are watching him definitely will understand who has the sick mind and who is speaking sense. So I will talk sensibly, and I will only put it across the points which
What
is important
sensibly?
for people to
Meka ji,
understand.
please, let's not
When I
speak
say
over
that-
each other. Please. Ji.
You
when
have the
I'm
audacity
telling
to
that,
say
when I
you will
said-
handhold us?
Come on, please.
Let's not derail the debate, please, gentlemen. You've made your point. Please heard it. Now let him respond, and then you respond further. Please. Yes, Zafar Islam.
When I said, see, the OBC, particularly this, I understand he comes from a political party which is, if he is talking about oppressor, this party has been the oppressor, and they have oppressed the marginalized section of the society. So I understand his mindset and his party's mindset, and I'm sure that he will have a lot of issues around it. But let me tell you very clearly that our party very clearly feels that some section of the society, a section of the society which definitely need to be heard while making any legislation. And this is what happened, because this is what was important, to exempt them, exclude them from this UCC, because they are still not ready. Still not ready to be included in this UCC. And it is based on the feedback from the community, from the several section of the society, from the people who actually understand the dynamics, and based on that, the state government has taken a call that I think it is the right time to do for everyone, except with an exception be made for ST.
Let me ask you.
However, as I said,
Zafarji, let me allow me this intervention, please, before we go back to Syam Prasad Mika. In a scheduled tribe, they are indigenous tribes who are following their indigenous ways. That's why they have been excluded. But if the indigenous tribes, or those who are part of the scheduled tribes, A, convert to another religion, B, stop their indigenous ways and adopt the mainstream, even then the UCC will not be applicable to them. There is nothing that talks about it. So then, do they remain indigenous tribes or not? And if somebody marries into an indigenous tribe family from not an indigenous tribe, then what happens? What applies?
Anand, even for the SC community, if they convert into some other religion, still there is no clarity on that. This is pending in the Supreme Court for ages, that whether they will still be treated as SC, or they will, though, since they have adopted a new religion, is out of that. He's clearly been seen as no more an SC and will not get the benefit of being an SC. Likewise, here I have yet to go through the entire bill. But what I feel that
don't you think it's a logical objection or a logical
happen.
aspect that if somebody moves or stops being no longer practicing indigenous ways, that is why indigenous tribes or the indigenous ways of the indigenous tribes, Vanvasi, Janajati, Adivasi, however you would want to call them, with all respects to their ways, if they stop those ways, do they not then become part of the rest of the mainstream group, even in this UCC law? Is that not something which is worth consideration? Secondly, sir, if indigenous tribes continue to follow their indigenous practices, but no longer are Vanvasis, but they live in villages, in semi-urban towns, cities, etc., but continue their indigenous ways, then what happens? And the intermingling of the indigenous tribes with the other mainstream or other communities, has that been considered? Is that not something where there is a gap in terms of perception and understanding? Syam Prasad Meka ji, you wanted to say something? Ji.
See, very simple. Anand, I have heard you use this word mainstream 3 times. What do you mean mainstream? Who is mainstream? The preamble of the constitution is the mainstream that we all agreed to live as a country.
Correct.
Who is mainstream? Who are these people who claim to be the mainstream? No, I am saying the Dalits and Adivasis are the mainstream of this country. We want to reclaim that position.
No,
Why
please.
No, one second.
Syam Prasad Meka ji, I stand. I humbly retract my usage of the term, Syam Prasad Meka ji, and sincerely will make an endeavor not to do it going forward. But then, sir, why is there a perception or an understanding that you, as a voice, part of a scheduled tribe, if I can understand properly, is an exception and not the rule? Because across the board, most of the scheduled tribes have written to the UCC commissions, even with the 80,000 odd suggestions that have gone to the Uttarakhand government, or the 2.5 lakh or 7 lakh plus, beg your pardon, I don't remember the number, that went to the centre when they were looking at the UCC draft. They have all said keep the scheduled tribes out. Why have they said that, Syam Prasad Mekaji?
See, look at the Constituent Assembly debates also. There was a time when even the Constituent Assembly was considering complete liquor ban across the country. Even during that time, there is only one member of the Constituent Assembly from, I think, from Jharkhand. He told that, hey, don't get too much swayed by Mahatma Gandhi. This is the culture. We will make that decision. You don't enforce on it, on us. That's how the country is built. That's how the societies need to function.
Correct.
I'm not saying which is right or which is wrong. Okay. See, let us allow people.
Correct. But I understand, Syam Prasad ji, if voices like you were the larger voice or perhaps more in number within the scheduled tribes, then scheduled tribes would not have been exempted in UCC. The fact that it has happened in Uttarakhand, because in the state of Uttarakhand, most of the scheduled tribe representations have come and said, no, our indigenous customs, don't touch it.
See,
because immediately they'll say, oh, the BJP government is against Adivasis, against Vanvasis, against the indigenous ways, and then there would have been an uproar in the northeast of our country, in the east of our country, in the south of our country. Across Bharat, the Vanvasis are there, they're prevalent across the place.
So, a very simple thing is, it's not about BJP, Congress or anybody.
Ji.
We as people, we the people, need to understand that there are other people whom we think others are also of this country. That's the simple thing. See, we are saying Vanvasis, we are saying Adivasis, we are not clear what to call them. So we are othering our own people. See,
But sir, that othering, but Syam Prasad Mekaji, that othering is not limited only to one particular caste, community or creed. This othering is endemic across the board. And
Correct.
even within these caste breakups or community breakups and groupings, there is othering even within that. So subsets, Venn diagrams, etc. you can continue to make. So this is something which is a larger mentality. But shouldn't I also turn out the logic and Syed Zafar Islam, take what Syam Prasad Mekaji is saying, that no, there should not be othering. Then the scheduled tribes of Uttarakhand have also othered themselves. They have also said, unke liye banao, humko mat la lo iske andar. That's also another way to look at it, Syed Zafar Islam. And so, if it is a common code, then it should be common to everybody. Till it can be a common code, then don't bring a common code. That's another argument. Syed Zafar Islam, final response before we move on. Ji.
I think you have to understand that the part of the society is matured to accept this, the change.
It's surrendered.
Which will be enacted through UCC. But if a person like Mekaji, if he feels that other people are sick and they do not, should not be given exemption to ST, then they must, from his own community, they must.
No,
make this
if
kind of
you
noise
think
and
you
convince
can
the
handhold
people.
me,
Because
I think you are sick. If you think you are handholding me, I will think you are sick.
But then.
I think
that is one big if. One minute,
sick.
Syam Prasad Mekaji. Let's have some peace here, Syam Prasad Mekaji. Then, then what would you call those people who say we need handholding?
Okay, 1 second.
What would you call those people who turn around and tell the government and say we need handholding?
Nobody.
His party will not lend their hands.
Wait.
No, his party will not lend any hands to support
Adivasi
them.
or Dalit.
So you are making this noise. You will not make this noise.
From a point of view,
You are not representing the community.
Correct.
You are speaking as an individual. You must understand. As an individual, you are speaking.
Gentlemen,
You are a citizen, but you are not representative of the I can bring you thousands of boys who actually will oppose you from your own community.
Correct.
But you are
that's the
actually
problem.
politicizing the issue only to
point. That's the point that we need to understand, Syam Prasad Mukherjee. That what if you are calling those who feel that some groups in our country need handholding as sick minds, then what do you call those people who turn around and say you have to handhold us? What kind of minds are those? No.
Nobody is saying that.
That is where you are erring in fact, sir.
I think
Because your voice is very welcome. Syam Prasad ji, your voice and your opinion is very welcome. It's a fantastic position that you're taking and I salute that position. But the fact is, sir, today you are amongst the smaller numbers who are making this or stating this. The larger number has come out and told the Uttarakhand draft makers, including a former justice of the retired justice of the Supreme Court, that we need handholding and you keep us out.
We don't need.
Sir, you
We
are
are the
saying
mainstream.
you are saying we don't
We
need.
are the mainstream.
You are, sir. That's
We
a
are the
nice belief
mainstream.
to have, but is that actual reality on ground? Because if that's the case, then
On
they should have
ground
said
it
no.
is not. We want to
we-
change that reality.
You want to change it is a good aspect, but till that time it changes. That's why the scheduled tribes have said keep us out of it. Keep us out of it. Okay, we've got to move on. We've got to move on. Syed Zafar Islam and Syam Prasad Mukherjee, thank you very, very much. Quickly.